Hey, I hope all is well with you. This is an experiment that is part of the Mastering Coffee series. It's very critical that we get real with ourselves about our water, why it's important, and all that good stuff. So, as you saw, what I just did is that I brewed a couple of cups of coffee. A lot of the variables are the same, but the key differences are the water chemistry, the ppm. So I just want to paint the picture. These coffees are a medium Brazilian roast. It's about a 69 on my roast right in between where it's going to be like a medium to light roasted coffee. I did 10 grams of coffee for each of these. And as you saw, I used the April Brewer, the Clean Wave filters. I did a 30-second bloom. And then after I did the 30-second bloom, that I poured second pour. The first pour was 50 grams, the second pour was 50 grams, and the last pour was 50 grams. And I poured the last pour at the 50-second mark for all four of these. So they're essentially the same, 1:15 ratio, 10 grams in, 150 grams of water. And now we're gonna taste. We're gonna do a TDS too, just to kind of see where it lies. But the biggest thing right now is just taste. I've essentially made these exactly the same. All the parameters are the same. Grinder that I use is the EK43. You don't have to use the EK43. You can use any grinder. Again, I try to keep all the variables the same. And the biggest thing really is like, what are we really doing here when we are talking about our water? Do we understand our water? Do we understand what ppm is? How does that translate in the cup? So this is as objective as I can get it. So let's begin. Let's go with the tap water. Okay. It's fine. It's not heavy. The flavor's kind of muted. It's okay. Doesn't bring out what I'm used to with this coffee. Now we're gonna do the distilled. This is the 1 ppm. Wow. To me, it's a little bit more pronounced. It is thinner. There's more acidity coming in the bottom. This is a little bit more pleasant to drink, ironically speaking. There's little to no acidity. It is there on the tail end of the Brazilian coffee for the hardness of tap water. It's more cloudy. It's less pronounced, if that makes any sense. This is the third wave water, 163 ppm. First when I did this experiment about a week ago, I was actually surprised how high TDS was of the third wave water. Okay, here we go. It's not bad. It seems like it has a little bit more bend. It has a little bit more structure. It's speaking a little bit more towards what we think this coffee should taste. This coffee's not complex. It's more sweet than acidic. If you do get acidity, it's more so at the tail end of the actual cup. It's a little heavier compared to the distilled. Okay, let's go to the oat coffee. This is just my interpretation of what I like at a particular ppm. I usually mix distilled water with tap water, sometimes spring water. I like it between 110 to 120. Right now, the water is 124 ppm. It's balanced. It's more sweet. There's less acidity in this cup of coffee. It seems like it has the right heaviness. Again, I'm not just saying that because I made this water. Yeah, it's pleasant, it's pleasing, it's very chuggable. I can drink this all day long. There's less acidity involved with this one in particular, but that's perfectly fine. So we have third wave water. Yeah, it's that heaviness. It's a lot heavier. The flavors are there. It's consistent. It's not bad at all. I wonder if I played around with getting it to 160 to see how these two will compare. The thing about the third wave water is that they have engineered the perfect amount of minerals in the coffee. I was shocked too that how light profile, the ppm is about the same. So I'm sure they still have different mineral chemistries for what they want to express in a lightly roasted coffee. So let's go ahead and taste the tap water. The TDS of this one right here is a 1.5. So it's right in the middle of 20% extraction for a 1:15 ratio. I'm mainly testing these just because I want to see the extraction, like how much extraction the coffees are actually doing when it's brewing a cup of coffee. Yeah, now the flavors are not there. It's cooled down. It's kind of muted. It's very chalky, very heavy. if you're gonna do tap water in a pinch, it's not smooth whatsoever. It's very heavy in the wrong way. It has the body, has too much body actually. Acidity is a little bit there, but it's okay. It's interesting. You know how people talk about a lot of times like body, heaviness, thinness, tea-like, and all that stuff. And it's kind of cool to kind of actually see how you can manipulate that as you drink your cup of coffee. It has this weird lingering type of acidity on this particular coffee, which I don't like. You may like. I just don't like that. So that's the strictly tap water, 254 ppm. Your tap water may be different compared to mine. That's tap water. It has so many different minerals. There's nothing diluting it whatsoever. That's why I like to play around with the tap water and also distilled water and from time to time spring water. So let's go back to distilled. Yeah, it's not bad. A lot thinner. It has that lingering type of taste, not as dramatic as the tap water. It's thinner. It's okay. It doesn't express the coffee as much as I would have thought, but it is distilled. It doesn't have much of anything. So TDS is about 1.47. Let's go ahead and get some more third way water. It brings out really good stuff in the coffee. It gives it legs. It gives this basic coffee some interesting things to kind of talk about and think about and ponder and all that, if that makes any sense. It does have a decent amount of balance that I related to the body, so it's not thin. There's some more acidity in this cup of coffee compared to at least these two. And it doesn't have that lingering, well, it's kind of there now. It's kind of there now. And I know I've been drinking these back and forth, so the TDS could be a little skewed, but I try not to have any backwash. All right, so let's go back to my concoction of water. Sweeter, smoother. There's some acidity, but it's not like overwhelming coming over the bay, kind of speak, if that makes any sense. Sometimes I just say things and I don't know what I'm saying. It's juicy. It's very chuggable. I wish there was just a little bit more acidity, especially in the beginning. It does have that same type of lingering type of acidity on this coffee, but it's super sweet. I would say it's about an 80-20 split of acidity, sweetness compared to acidity. Yeah, it's not bad at all. And the cool thing about this, really what any of these besides the distilled, is that you can play around, manipulate the sweetness or the acidity, depending on how much ppm that you want to play around with. If I think I wanted a more of acidic type of cup of coffee, I would probably dilute it a little bit more with distilled to bring that ppm down a little bit more. Or I can probably rival it a little bit with third rate water in order to change up the flavors, manipulate the taste. The tricky part about when you make your own water is that you actually don't know how much minerals, the percentages that are in there. But that's perfectly fine too, because at the end of the day, you're just trying to balance out the ppm in a cup of coffee. I think if you do it this way, you're about 95% there of having awesome water. You can still use third way water, but I would highly recommend that you dilute it even more so. 163 is pretty high, and when you actually start tasting the coffees, especially when you do back-to-back like this, it becomes very heavy, very pronounced, and sometimes, depending on the coffee, it can make it a little bit muddy. So if you dilute it, probably do another 100, 200 grams of water, even 500 grams of water on top of the 1 gallon that you put on it. Bring that TDS down. I think the coffees will be tasting a lot more. It'll give you a little bit more longer runway with your third way water if you're using that. 146. So the TDS, the extraction that I'm getting for a lot of these right now are about the same, which is fine. Let's just know that we're able to extract coffee with any water that we're using. So we're gonna do the last one, my concoction of TDS. We're gonna go from there. I think I'm really surprised about this one. It's because I didn't use a package. I didn't blindly just follow what somebody has done for me. Don't get me wrong. I love third wave water. I think it's the thing that if you're just trying to like not even think about anything, that's where you start. But then once you start going deep into the rabbit hole, tasting different coffees, sometimes those profiles of those packages will define what that coffee tastes like. And if you're not keen on getting a $10 gadget and knowing exactly what you're dealing with, then you'll just stay in that bubble of like wondering if it's the coffee, if it's the water, if it's the way that you actually brewed your cup of coffee. And you can play around and do all that good stuff of trying to bring out the best in your coffee. The cool thing about this is that a lot of times you don't even have to like make a different coffee. You can play around with spring water. And what I've noticed with spring water is more so perfect for light roast. Has just enough minerals. It's about 95 to 80 ppm. Every spring water is different. So again, you have your gadget, you can play around with it that way. And then once you do that, then you can taste your coffee, experience your coffee, see what it's all about, see if you like it, if you don't, and kind of like just see if just playing around with the different variations of water chemistry, how you can get a cup of coffee that you like and enjoy. And since we are, whoa, okay, got something interesting here. My concoction came out to 1.33 TDS, right about 18%. So my concoction kind of didn't really extract as much as the other ones, which is kind of surprising. But whatever. At the end of the day, it's about what you taste in the cup. It's about what you experience in the cup. And be honest with yourself. Be objective. If you like tap water, drink tap water. If you drink it with creamer and all that, probably just tap water is just fine. But I do like the in-betweenness of the body. I don't like it to where it's so much tea-like. And I don't like the heaviness as it can be sometimes, especially for these chocolatey, nutty type of coffees. Find your range. And it may change with different coffees. Maybe you want to go a little bit higher. Try 150 ppm. See if that really does work for you. Go a little bit lower. If you don't like lightly roasted coffees, try 85, 90 ppm. See what it tastes like. See what you don't like about it. And put a little bit more tap water or anything to bump up that TDS. And then you experience, you enjoy, and then you go from there. Again, this will get you about 95% there. Later on, we will be playing with actual minerals and also playing around with those little drops that I think are kind of bullshit. That's the 5%. If you get here, spending $10 and getting different waters and playing around with ppm, what you like, what you don't like, your coffee's gonna taste drastically better. As you see right here, we've been playing around with all of this, and it's been a lot of fun just to get to the point of understanding our stuff even more beyond a particular recipe, you know, a particular brewer and all that stuff. That's what I got for you. Let me know what you think. Have you played around with water? Do you like playing around with water? And also, speaking of that, I know this is the end of the thing and most people don't watch this, but I have to give a shout out to this commenter. He really helped me out to kind of understand, like, hey, go beyond just thoroughbred water. Put his name on the thing. I'll give his comment. I'll probably do that in the beginning from time to time throughout the whole thing to let you know what the inspiration was for this particular video, because my mind is blown. I understand it, I get it, and it's cool to just play around with different things as you go about drinking your cup of coffee. So shout out to you. I forgot how you say his name. Put it on the screen, credit and all that stuff. I'm just this fool that just spent 50 minutes just talking about coffee, making coffee, enjoying it, and sharing it with you. Let me know what you think. If you played around with water, if you don't play around with water, let me know. Talk to you later. Bye.